Right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Recruiter Enablement channel on YouTube. I'm here today with Stacey Slater. Stacey, welcome. Thank you very much for joining me. Could you give us a quick introduction? Who are you? You work for Oyster. Tell us a bit about Oyster as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thanks so much for having me. Super excited to get an opportunity to talk all things recruiter enablement. So my background, about 10 or so years now almost in internal talent acquisition. And I've moved my way up when it comes to working globally. A lot of my focus has been within fast growth tech organizations, moving into new markets, right? So a lot of it focused on the GTM side of recruiting. And I'm very lucky that I got to join Oyster and switch tacks over the last year or so to really enable the recruiting teams to hire at global scale, right? So Oyster, it really links quite hugely with passion of mine, which is enabling access to talent. So as a business, we enable organizations to hire globally. We're a global employment platform. So in a nutshell, if you don't currently have a legal entity to be able to hire a candidate in a certain country, Oyster is a big part of being able to enable that access to talent and those opportunities to those individuals wherever they are in the world. So I joined them as their global TA operations manager, and it's my first role in TA operations, and I very actively sought to get into that space. I love enabling people. My joy is being able to ensure others have a path to success in what they're doing. And my focus here has really been on helping us scale our talent acquisition function to really be able to have those repeatable processes, systems, tooling in place where as a cohesive, we are all adopting the same ways of working to be able to make sure that we're securing the best talent all over the world. So that's me in a nutshell.
Wonderful. Okay, so TA operations includes quite a few different things, and I think some of those are real big picture things as well. I would say personally that recruiter enablement is an aspect of that, which is about helping the individuals to be able to do a better job. So it's less of the big picture and more of the like at ground level, frontline level, access to the things that are going to help them. Yes. Would that be the right description for you? And also, what is recruiter enablement to you?
Yeah, I agree. I think so. The operations aspect of how we do things, the functionality of that, the adoption of that is one big piece. And there's so many elements in that. That's not just tools and systems, but it could be programs, internally ways of working. The enablement, I guess the thread of that, the extension of that, like there is no point having all of these things in place if people don't have access to it and an understanding of how to use that to ensure that their path to success is there. And for me, it's not just about the recruiters. Recruiting takes a village. We say it all the time, right? And so it's a big part is enabling our recruiters to have access at their fingertips to all of these, I guess, operating models, the way we do things cohesively and consistently as a team, but also to the extension of that, right? Our hiring managers, our interviewers, our senior executives that need to understand the data behind this and why we need that and when. So it's really about making sure everybody is literally on the same page and has access to those ways of working to really be able to unlock those efficiencies as well, right? So I like to look at it as the recruiters are the heart of this, and my job is to make their lives easier. It's to remove those barriers and those blockers that they have, but also to make sure that the business is kept up to speed with what we're doing, why we're doing it, how we're doing it, to enable everybody to be able to connect and work together to that common goal.
Right. So you're enabling hiring managers as well as enabling recruiters. Okay. So could you give us some examples of like specific types of things? So because you're this was a new role that you came and started. Where do you start?
What do we do? It's a great question. So I'm very lucky that Oyster made the decision to invest early stage, to have somebody like me dedicated to how we build our processes and how we enable our talent. Where you start with that is, for me, it's about alignment and an understanding of what are our goals? What is our hiring philosophy? How do we all ensure we're on the same page? A lot of exploring, how are people working right now? How are they using the tools and the systems? Are there quick wins that we can find within those ways of working that will get everybody on the same page and ensure that we're doing things together? A big part of any fast growth business everyone kind of dives in, right? And all goes at it hell for leather all together at once. It's a big passionate thing is hiring. For me, it was really about understanding, okay, now we are building this team and we have these amazing recruiters. How can we enable them to do what they need to do consistently day to day and ensure our hiring managers are given the time and the space to focus on where they can really bring value to an interviewing process. So we started by really understanding what our goals were, and making sure we were getting everybody on the same page. And the big output of that within the first few months was one, hiring manager training. So we actually started very quickly with that to ensure they were aware we're here now. Like we're here to help you. And this is what this means in terms of change management, right? So we did a big focus on that. And then the second piece, which was a much larger piece of content work for us, was to really build that documentation, that knowledge bank that is accessible by our recruiters and our hiring teams, interviewers, as well as hiring managers, as to the way we work with talent acquisition, right? And so all of those hit points from right at the beginning, headcount, management, approvals, all of that, all the way through to what happens post-offer and onboarding as well. So it was a huge piece of work, but getting that understanding of what everyone's doing, getting that consistency and documenting it, much like you would from a product perspective, really created a lot of relief for people to go, oh, I don't have to do that anymore. Great. Like that's with these guys have got this. Excellent. And that has been, a really, really wonderful experience. But I'm sure the recruiters will say it's really made a huge difference because it helps with accountability, which we all need to have.
Well, it does. It also helps with removing any like misaligned expectations from a process.
Yeah.
One of the challenges I think we have in recruitment is that everybody's a recruitment expert. Because everyone's been a candidate or a hiring manager or both, and therefore they all think they're a recruitment expert. And they know how best to do it. And that's before you come into recruitment and find everybody kind of, so that documentation around processes and things like that. I guess it might have been a bit like herding cats because there was so many people probably all doing things in the way that they've done them, like in previous employers and all that type of thing. Was that a challenge?
Yeah, I think more so it was your point exactly, right? And it's very much common with fast businesses before they've got TA teams in place where the hiring managers are owning their own recruiting, right? So they're doing things the way that they have self-taught or that they've experienced before when they've not worked with teams. So that was a really interesting dynamic because we are the experts, right? And in doing this, it kind of surfaced to them, and I think which is really important for all TA teams, that understanding of like how much goes into this, right? A lot of people think recruitment is like, they compare it a lot to sales. And yes, there's some elements where you can draw that, but it is very complicated. There is no product in the world that will change its mind like a candidate can and will, right? So how do you navigate that? How do you create consistency, remove biases, make sure that everyone's there? So it was a challenge in kind of understanding it, but actually we were very lucky that we approached this early on in the TA team's life, and being able to say, right, this is what we want this to look like. And for us, candidate experience was at the heart of every decision we made and the processes that we were building. And so the challenge for us was the education piece, which is why we tackled it very early on with our hiring managers in raising that awareness of like, this is who we are, this is why we're here, this is how we can support, and this is what it means moving on and moving forwards in partnering with us, because it's a partnership. And the relief actually we felt from the hiring teams was lovely. They were like, oh, thank goodness you're here. Because it's hard, right? Recruiting is hard.
It really is. I imagine that if the recruiter experience is strong, there's probably a direct correlation between that and good hiring manager experience and good candidate experience on the other side.
Yeah.
The only one area that I think is comparable, and I would not relish tackling, would be wedding planning. That'd be one thing which I think I'll leave that to somebody else. Like the very best people in talent acquisition could probably make a good go of it, but that would be pretty
not even
tough.
I would definitely be engaging the expert in that because that's a lot of people's opinions. But it is similar, right? Like, I think when we talk about enablement as well, diving into some of the specifics, like we're building a session right now for the team when it comes to offers and how we navigate that and those conversations. And I think one of the big learnings is to bring that back to, we're humans, we're dealing with humans. And it's not just that individual. That human has a whole life, and that one decision that they make, whether it's to choose you or not, will impact another number of lives, right, that they have within their world. And I think bringing that awareness and then enabling the team to be equipped to have those conversations, that empathy, that understanding, makes a huge difference. And taking the time to actually kind of go, right, let's talk about this. It's something that we often skip past, right? As recruiting teams, we are in the weeds. We have, strong goals that we need to achieve. And so it can sometimes be that afterthought of, wait, how did we do that? Why did we do it that way? Like asking ourselves those questions and challenging the status quo to make sure that we are doing things the right way for those individuals moving forward every time.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to go into any more detail with you because you and I are on a session with Steve Gordon from Smart Recruiters and I think the firm in the next couple of weeks. So we'll be going into it in a bit more detail, I think, on that. And so I will share a link to that as soon as we've got it. But for now, Stacey, thanks so much for taking the time to come and join me. It's been great to learn from you, and looking forward to seeing you talking more about these subjects in the coming weeks and months.
Amazing. Thanks so much. It's super fun to talk it through. There's a lot to talk through.
Yeah.
Take care.
Okay. Bye.